Hello everyone. G'day. We're starting the excellent day. Sorry about the startup and because is it going to be easy? Yeah, I'll use half of it. Yeah, half of the board. Yeah, half of the board instead of that. Yeah, I think is it coming along. Battery, come on, do its magic. If it is not this side, maybe it's the other side. How's that? Oh, hi, hello, we have James. Hello, James. G'day, James. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience. So, well, this is the topic we will want to share with you a little bit. This is about the climate change and veganism. And all the protests and all the bus and all the things that's happening in the news for the past weekend or the past few weeks, I guess. And then how people are interpreting it and how we should think of a better interpretation in terms of Tao and how we can help people bridge the gap. Is it something you may have thought of before, like climate change and veganism being a skeptical thing, or?
I don't think it's a skeptical thing, bro. But I think, in the essence of when we talk about the difference between vegetarian and veganism, there's definitely a difference between those, and then also there's an understanding.
Yes.
Between connection between vegetarian and climate change. Definitely a connection there.
Yes.
But we also need to understand that the education of veganism and vegetarianism must be delicately, approached, because a lot of people like to, instead of educating the understanding of it's affecting our climate, they just tend to cut to the point and be like, you should change, without any backstory. So this doesn't really allow people to make the choice for themselves. It's telling others what to do, and that's a problem in society, because people, when they get told, it's like a child. If you tell a child what to do, they just put their guard up, and they're like, don't you tell me what to do, Mum. No. So you've got to do it gently in a more educated way. And for some people, vegetarianism is a hard thing to do, because a lot of people have grown up eating meat their whole life. Especially, like, I'll just use myself, for example. Like, I've grown up eating meat my whole life. I have the intention to become a vegetarian one day, and that's a good thing, and an aspiration. However, it's very, very micro steps. Some people can do it straight away. Like, we know that there's situations where people receive Tao, and when they receive Tao, they make a vow to become a vegetarian straight away, and they have that strong affinity, which is excellent. But some of us have different, I guess, what's the word to say? Like, we're all in different situations, and we all cultivate differently.
Yes.
Sorry, that's a very elongated explanation of what you just asked.
No, that's good. Good. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I guess for the big topic indeed, but because I want to cover a little bit more, because it was not covered as broadly in our past discussions, because it's actually two separate issues we're dealing with. So when we look at climate change, obviously the people look at it from scientific measures, or like carbon footprint and all these things, but actually, if we look at it in more like a all-round context, it is about the mind, the unrest in people's mind is also contributing to climate change in a more direct way. So that's the big challenge of this modern time, where the people's mind has become more and more unrest. Is that a good word to use, like unrest? As in, the mind is more and more, taken further and further away from that mindfulness or the peace of.
Yeah, I would say it's not It's unsettled.
Unsettled. Yes.
Unsettled. Unrest generally means like everyone is arguing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so. If it's unsettled, it's not clear.
Thank you. Yeah. Because I want to bring this up because it's coming up to storm season, and we do things timely, and we just say how do we best prepare for storm season, as we need to run a few scenarios, and then we can see a bigger picture of climate change, and then we can understand what's the deal about going veg, or what's the voices, pro and con, all these things. We want to have an all-round picture, the all-round discussion, so that way when people throw these little things up in the air in a question, we can still see what was the blind spot, or what was the focus we should drag the conversation back to. So you sometimes see it in the news how people look at climate change, but the only thing they look at was carbon footprint. So I think that is one big picture. But if we were looking in Dow's context, we say everything is in nature is trying to reach equilibrium, it's trying to reach a balance. So the quickest way, though, is not only looking at the carbon measures, but looking at how we have our mindset. And all these mindsets, if we have a settled mind, then it will really help reduce the carbon footprint, because our mind is at a very calm sort of state. We're not sending out too many, unsettled energy. So like if you're very calm, you probably don't need to, watch like a horror movie to keep you. I'll use another example. Okay, like if you're very calm, you're very happy on your own. You don't need to have amusement sort of as much. Yeah, not to say you need to get rid of all amusement, but as in if you're happily contented, you don't really rely on the being intoxicated in certain ways to overcome your stimulate. Yes, that's a better word. Thank you. Yeah, because you know how people, if they're really down, they feel they need a bit of sugar to boost their happiness, or they need a bit of alcohol to feel their worries away. I think the reality is, if we have a higher control of our mindset and the emotions and things like that, we would definitely be more alert to whatever we do, whether we are contributing to better climate or worse climate. So, and in the modern time, when we look at climate, it's getting more and more intense, more and more ferocious. It's actually coming back to our electricity use is going higher and higher, and without us knowing. Like say 200 years ago, we probably don't even have stereo, a refrigerator, air conditioning. So as in all these things were taken for granted, yes. So we need to just be a bit more mindful as well. So we have to use some of these convenience, but we will then need to make sure we're not abusing the resources we get to use. So it's like, say for example, I'm just saying for example, if there's a concert, a rock concert, in raising funds to put towards planting more trees, but those people may not realize the energy consumption at the rock concert. All the music equipment draws so much electricity. Those carbon is not it's preventable. Even you can offset it, but it's preventable right at the start. So I'm trying to say is like at the moment the politics or even the news or any discussion going on is very largely focused on just like taking it one-sided. You're either on this side or you're on that side, and then they use numbers and fight about it. But that is why it's not very not very intellectual in terms of like fighting between people who say they're skeptic, or people who say there's no need to change our diet purely because we've thousands of years lived in an omnivorous way. But I think that the point in time in this world has got to a stage we really need to throw in a newer interpretation to these big topics, a better way to sort of funnel the discussion So that's why this class came about. So is there a question there?
James was saying that
Yes.
some of these kinds of concerts have a sustainability team to help it make it environmentally.
Of course. But the thing is exactly like you can offset all your footprint as such. You can carbon credits it all the way. But the thing is, if you can do without, wouldn't it be better in the equation where Lao Tzu always say like no effort is the best effort sort of way. Wu Wei is the sort of thing. Like if you have to do so much elsewhere to offset your impacts, then if you can find a better way, then it should have been. You don't need to do the fix. You just not need to correct to create the wreck at the start. So I think yeah. But it is interesting. Like yeah, well, in the modern like younger millennial or the generations of today, they need like some of these rock concerts or some of these events or some of these eyeball drawing activities in order to raise their awareness. Whereas in the ancient times, people would just look at nature, look at the weather pattern, look at the environment, and they would know what went wrong. So in many emperors in ancient China, actually, they have a observatory not to monitor the crops or the things, but it was set up originally. The observatory was set up to monitor the leader's mindset. So it was to a measure of their ability to look after the people. So all the weather patterns, all these things are merely to reflect the performance of the compassion of the leading people. So yeah, if there was a lot of we were saying briefly before, like the certain catastrophes like flood or fire, all these things are very integrated with the minds of the people, like say greed, ignorance, hatred. All these are very closely related to the weather because we're all part of one system, so to speak. So that's why if we're getting hotter and hotter and hotter, it's actually very relatable to see people. We are more and more impatient. We're more and more impatient. We're getting very fast economy of scale, very quick result, quicker and quicker, whether it is delivery to, I don't know, weight loss to like real investments, all these things. We're trying to maximize. And the result is now in the temperature. It's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So you will feel lesser and lesser cool, lesser chilled. You're sitting there, you're like sitting on a hot pot or sitting on a frying pan. Like people's mind is very unsettled. So these are the sort of underlying things to climate change we should also throw in to talk about. Otherwise, it will become a very numbers, like fighting back and forth only on numbers, or just fighting back and forth only to debate, rather than getting towards a solution. Yeah, because there are lots of young people, yes, they're doing the good thing to raise awareness, but sometimes if they realize it is what they're doing the protest in a way that is not very beneficial to make a difference. So, like, I think maybe in Brisbane City we have some protests before where they tie themselves onto the pavement, or and then some report was saying that, yeah, they have all this material for the demonstration, but when they finish and it's all become waste, like all the banners and all the posters all become just in the scrap bin sort of thing. So I think if we were to make a real impact, there should be a more efficient way as well. So that's why sometimes we can have a look at things like that in society and then look into it into a deeper context and see if we can dig up anything we can benefit more as well. Just saying, like, it's good to have these protests to be raising the voice. It's very important because otherwise the government and industry, they are taking a blind eye. They're not even listening. So it's good to have these protests, but then we need to let the truth be revealed rather than be jeopardized. Yeah, is it making any logical sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because even over the weekend, you may have read the news. Like, say, Lewis Hamilton, he's a vegan athlete, so he's on his cusp of earning the 6th world title. So, but he was saying, yes, he has achieved veganism like since 2017. But as soon as he said that, then other people in the industry may say that, oh, we are racing car drivers. What are we going to being a bit hypocritical when we talk about climate change and being vegan? So I think a lot of the talks is actually distorted. So I think, sometimes if we want to promote like a better way of diet just for a better climate, I think it's on many, it's got many meanings as well. Not purely from a carbon, we're being vegetarian, not only from a carbon measure. So I think that's more towards what we want to achieve is a compassionate society, a benevolent society, a world of justice and freedom where every lives are valued the same. I think that could be that could be a more powerful, meaningful message than just to say go green, go veg, go be a green person. Rather than just saying it in words, we should be one who forgive and be compassionate to all life and let other people realize all life are equal, all life have the same value. And that is perhaps a very efficient way to slow down climate change, because the climate is reflecting our state of mind. Yeah. I think I've said quite a bit as well. Yeah. So maybe Sifu, what would you think? Like, if someone is like skeptical of climate change, what would your response to them become like? Be like?
More tea?
More tea is a very good response. Thank you.
Drink more tea.
More tea, yes.
That's my response.
Thank you. That's a good response. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
You also have your cup of tea there as well. Yes. So a lot of the times, we need to realize, yes, as soon as we have some technology, it is hard to relinquish it. As soon as we have electric lamps, it is never going back to rest by sunset. So we have the luxury of that, but then we can make sure we're not abusing the resources. So
it's such a difficult thing because,
yes,
you've got solar panels and they pump out free electricity, but people moan about the amount of energy needed to create these solar panels in the first place. But
Yep, that's right.
There's also the discussion that nuclear power is a very good option because it doesn't have like it's technically green and it's uninterrupted and those sorts of things. But people don't realize that to build the nuclear power plant and to run it, right, all the energy that it took during that time, it didn't even output as much as it takes to decommission it. So it's actually negative contribution.
Yes.
It takes more energy to decommission it than it would ever generate in its entire life. Yeah.
Wow, that's a powerful fact that people should be more aware of as well. Yeah. So
but man is always going to be building something. Doesn't matter what happens, they're going to be building something. So if they build solar panels, so be it.
But I think it's also important to self-reflect a lot of the time and go, well, what are we doing? What aren't we doing? Right? And how do we fix it? For example, even in Temple, there's loads of things that we can do in Temple to be more environmentally friendly.
Mhm.
But
We should all just stop breeding.
breathing or breathing?
Breathing.
Yeah, okay.
I'll do this until I pass out and bang my head on the coffee table. Anyway, so
Breeding. I'm vowing off breeding.
breathing. Stop polluting the gene pool. Well, yeah, I can't really breathe, so there you go. No genetic input for me. I know.
Question?
Katie text message.
Okay.
Okay. No, it's gone now.
Thank you.
No.
I think that's a interesting discussion where people often say, well, if man is doing so much evil, well, why not wipe out man? So I think that's Thanos'
That would probably happen.
yeah. But we realize, Laozi also mentioned Tao is always giving life, like as in what's the better word?
I'm Nick Sinner.
Oh, hi, Nicola. Hello. Welcome. Thank you. So Tao is always creating life, as in like it's nurturing life. Yes, that's a better word. Tao is always nurturing life, and no life, or once it's living, there's no life that wants to, I guess, early terminate its own life. So that is nature. That is Tao. So as soon as you have a living creature, animal, or life, it's almost impossible that they will give up their life prematurely. So that is why Tao is always about looking at facilitating life rather than eliminating life. So I think breeding is good when we the education, all the health, all the all-round care can be instilled to it. So and then it gets to like the Confucius mentioned, the world of great harmony. We're not caring for our own children only. We're not helping our own parents only. Your mother is my mother. Your father is my father. So everyone in society has a role to contribute. I think that was a possible way to achieve. And if we can work together on it, then it wouldn't be a question of wiping out half the population or not breeding at all. So it is actually a possible way to look at the underlying thing.
How did the Chinese policy, the one-child policy, go?
Oh, it's very anti-nature. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But the prognosis 20 years ago was that the world population would decrease because of that. How did that go?
I don't think it's decreasing at any measurable pace, and it's actually spurring up more growth and more gender imbalance as well. So, like the funny thing was, like in traditionally, you look at the Chinese word for good. The good Chinese word is two components, this and this. Together is good. And which one is first? This is the girl, and this is the boy. So if you look at the Chinese word character, it's not the boy come first is good, you need the girl come first. So which means girls first or ladies first. It's always about the support to both. There is no like one-sided dominance or the male dominant side. I think in Chinese, traditionally in the early ancient forms, girl is just as important as a boy. There is no preference to any. But
is it first or on the left?
You say you write it first, like in the stroke order. It's on the left.
Don't you guys write this way across? Or is it up and down?
Or is that just the first radical?
Yeah, that's a radical.
Oh, so it's one character.
This is one character.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one character.
On there.
Yeah, so you cannot write this.
But,
I mean you can, but it's not the word for good.
The girls always take the left staircase.
Oh, is that another saying in English? left staircase.
No. In temple, women sit on the left, men sit on the right.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Well, there are many, I guess, there's many reasons, obviously. We can go into it, but for the discussion that I'm trying to highlight was, yeah.
I'll stop interrupting you.
No. It's good.
Highlight away.
Highlight, and I'll address that as well. Yeah. So, yeah. So, in the earliest form of, I guess, civilization, I guess we shouldn't really limit to like a Chinese interpretation. All the civilization, every child is precious. So every child deserves the same love and kindness. But unfortunately, as people form the society and sort of become more of a power struggle, in order to stay in power or be the emperor or be the line of succession, they decided it was the male dominance factor or the lineage of the surname or the house of Stuart to the house of Tudor to the house of Windsor. It's all a very nomenclaturally based affair rather than a merit or the ability or the compassion measure. So that's why in Chinese in the past 1,000 years it's towards a more shift or bias towards say, the boy is better because it will inherit the family heir, the family's wealth goes to the next generation through the male descendants or things like, and then the daughters will be other families' wives. So that's where they distorted the whole concept of human qualities or humane. We got. Hi.
No, it's just Nick saying he's here.
Oh, hi. Thank you.
Oh, the one that comes down is a text message.
Text. Okay. Oh, good. So the reality is, in China, the imbalance or the ratio of more ladies and the more gentlemen. The favor to have more gentlemen on numbers is actually on the official, I guess, population census. There is more male and less female, but if you really understand the government's data is not very accurate. There's actually more ladies, like even unreported population, than there are in gentlemen in China. So because all the people would want to, I guess, give birth to a boy, but in specifically aiming for it, they will probably have a daughter first. So then they will keep trying until they have a boy. So that's quite popular, I mean, in the 50s as well, the 60s in Hong Kong. Yeah, a lot of the couples may probably have 3 or 4 daughters and keep trying for a boy. So in the end, the imbalance is actually quite severe. But sometimes in China, the one-child policy, they either have to, I guess, sadly abort the pregnancy or I guess, very, very sad ending for the daughters, but in order to have the boy on the official record. So I guess it's very inhumane and it's not sustainable. And I guess the communist government's policy will backflip on the country sooner or later. So
as they usually do.
Yeah, in any I guess historical statistic, any forceful policy that is against human will, nature's flow.
Like the time they killed all the flies in China.
The sparrows as well. Yes, flies and sparrows. Yes,
that was a big disaster.
Yes, yes. Any forceful intervention statistically always ends in a worse state, a worse outcome than before. So, you were saying before, actually, the nuclear energy plants, to decommission it is more energy intensive than building one and generating energy from it. So I guess in the end, we want to look at the big picture. We want to look at the fullest picture rather than what's going on in this point in time, or this snapshot in time.
Oh, Bruce, sorry, just to quickly go back to what we were saying before about the population of China. According to CIA, it's 1.06 males to every female in China.
Okay, yeah. So there's probably 600 bachelors out of every 100,000. Yeah, 1.06 is 2 decimal points. So 600 bachelors for every 10,000 population, is it?
Yeah, 1.06.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, I guess, 6 guys out of 100 will be a bachelor for their whole life.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's on the official record, but I think the reality, like the unreported reality or the real world out there, there's actually more ladies. More ladies. Yeah. So because they will not report it on the official tally. Yeah. So but the just to say, like, whenever, like, say they don't learn of the original context, or like taking things on the surface level, that's very big problem. Then they are creating their own. They're writing their own ending. So that is the big challenge of now. So like in terms of the climate, the worsening of the storms, or the worsening of the cyclones, or the worsening of the hailstorms, all these are all pointing to many lifestyle impacts. Yeah, like the speed and delivery, or the amount of I guess unnecessary shouldn't say unnecessary travel, but as in the you know how you buy something and then you have like free returns, and if you don't like it, you can always send it back. Sort of like consumer convenience. Yeah, I should say consumer.
That's the better term, I think. Yeah.
Yes. So these are I guess on one side good to facilitate the economy, but the impacts are actual, real, tangible climate change. And then that's when the insurance will keep going up, and then it's just everyone's pockets are squeezed tight and tight. So that's a very vicious cycle. So I think from understanding the bigger picture, or the fuller picture, we can realize being a vegetarian or vegan or any conscious eating diet, it's all coming from compassion first, or a benevolent heart first. When you have a benevolent heart, you will have more calm and peace. Then your mind are less unsettled. And when you have less unsettled mind, you will be less likely to pursue any stimulants or activities to stimulate your happy mood or things like that. So then there will be lesser, consequences as well. So I think Buddhists are, we were saying many times in the class that Buddhists are very cautious of the seed, of the root cause, whereas ordinary people, like sentient beings, we are only regretful when we see the unreversible outcome, or when we see the fruit. Then we knew it was the seed. So it's often too late. So when in Tao cultivation, not only we are ahead of the time, we are ahead of the game, because we understand the whole picture, or the whole sequence. So that's why we're very fortunate when we learn about Tao, because we are seeing things before they become facts, or before they become reality, because we know the way it progresses. So that's why in Chinese saying, they say like Confucius or like someone with the Tao, they know of the Tao. They don't need to do anything that like they don't need to read every book in the world. They don't need to like be at every historical moment, but they can already sit at their home and they will already know when the thank you.
Sit down.
Thank you. Yeah, cheers. So they will.
What are you getting up?
Oh no, Nick's asking a question. Just
Okay.
let's read it.
Yeah.
So Nick's asked a question. It's okay, bro. Yeah.
yeah.
So how do you reconcile the desire to be vegetarian or eat a meat-free diet with medical needs?
Yep.
Is it, i.e., the need for bone broth is excessively, etc.? Is that a possibility?
Very good question.
So, like he's talking about the
Yes. Yes. Medically.
that diet.
Okay, that's good. We'll go around the table to share our thoughts as well. Yeah, see how we go with that. That's a very good question, Nick. Thank you. What are your thoughts, Steve?
My thoughts are that in life, or in the present state, there are lots of diets out there which may be better suited to you. I think Pete Evans is a very famous chef at the moment. That's he likes the bone broths and finds that they're excessively nutritious for you. And they're excellent in maintaining things like diabetes, losing weight, they're high in protein, these sorts of things. But on the flip side, there's also a lot of studies in vegetarianism and veganism in which a vegan diet is the only diet in the world that can actually reverse problems with people who have had heart attacks. And actually reopens blood artery, or like the arteries in the body, actually physically opens them up. No other diet can do that. Only a plant-based diet can do that. So I think we just need to be more mindful about what we're eating, and we need to see the actual connections between things. And then once we have the education ourselves, then we can make an informed decision on what's best for us. And we'll eventually learn what's the right path for us to take down. But at the end of the day, I think it still comes down to compassion, and depends on whether or not how much compassion we can have. But compassion doesn't come overnight; it has to be learned. And
Okay.
Anyway, that's just my.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very.
Seafood. What do you think?
Yeah. Sharing your thoughts with Nicolette as well.
Compassion. I'm learning how to cook vegetables.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
With a bit of help from my pet chef.
Oh yes, Dawn's going to help me make Western style vegetarian food that doesn't have any onion and garlic in it.
Very nice.
Because I said to her, I can't work out how to do it because I like Western food. I can't eat like Chinese food all the time.
Easy. I use asafoetida.
No, you're not allowed to eat that. Supposedly, I don't know whether or not we're allowed to eat it, but James don't eat. Sounds like all these women called Jane.
J-A-I-N.
No, J-A-I-N. Jane don't eat asafoetida. It's one of the 5. It comes in under the 5 spices. So I don't know whether or not it affects us.
Oh, okay. Oh, I don't know what asafoetida is exactly, but I'll get back to that.
It's a spice of some sort.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I think just my.
Anyway, so yeah.
No. I was trying to share my thoughts as well with
Okay,
Nicolette's question. Like, if, well, Alex mentioned it quite well, like, it's a gradual step and things like that. And I'm just saying, like, even when night turns to day or day turns to night, it doesn't flip like the electricity. It takes a gradual process and a expected process, an expected outcome. So, and it has to happen in a timely progression. So, if we knew the ultimate answer is all these there's methods or diets or all these things, supposedly it's all good for health. So, if they have a vegetarian or vegan option that achieves the same thing, then it should be the first preference over a a broth version. If it is achieving the same thing, if there's no like substitutable, is that a word?
Yeah.
Substitutable solution. Obviously, listen to your medical doctor first, your medical profession first, and then work in other alternatives in the karmic side as well. Like in saying that, yes, maybe because of the limitations, you have to use a broth diet, but then start the repentance more and more, be more repentful and more repentful for maybe from the past you may have hurt others, so that this life they want this pain to relive through you, so you understand how much pain you have gave them, and that was the lesson perhaps. So I'm saying the alternative solutions are more than adequate to choose a diet or medication that is a plant-based solution. So, and most importantly, we understand a lot of the times the health related issues, not only it's a habit or a lifestyle, or we say a habit or a lifestyle thing, but also a past lives, karmic lessons, or indeture, is that the word?
Indeture. It's almost as if I like to think of it as like your past life or your karma in your past life has. When you see personal trainers and they're trying to like train people, and they put a strap on people, like a harness, and then they make you run, and the personal trainer holds on to you.
Yeah.
This is exactly the same sort of thing as like the personal trainer is your karma. So when you're trying to progress in your life, it's holding you back as much as it can, so you can't get over that like hump.
And that's right. And to top that up, you cannot blame anyone because you're the one who paid the personal trainer to do it for you. And that is the dilemma, because if we didn't know that, we will blame the personal trainer. We are blaming them by cursing them, but they are doing their job for you on your request.
Yeah.
So that's the reality. So if we were to use a broader spectrum, there should be a maybe slower or maybe more arduous or lesser convenience way, but there will definitely be an alternative method, like in a plant-based medication, than what's the word there? A meat-related medication. Like say for example, like in Chinese medicine, in the earliest forms are all herbs. So traditional Chinese medicine only is herbs. But something happened in the train of events that people started using like bears, like liver, gall, or the gallbladder, or all the like tiger's bones, or like all these weird exotic animals derived components. But all those people who I guess consume those products, I don't think their root problem was cured. So they may have the symptoms relieved, but it's not a pun, is it? Okay. The root problems.
You know when they take the rhinoceros horn and stuff.
Oh, the rhinoceros horn. Yeah, they grind it to like the I think
aphrodisiac.
So like all these tonic or all these So these are sorry. Thank you so much. Sorry. Thank you. In reality, thank you. That's right. All of these debates and all these things are targeting the symptoms rather than targeting the root cause. So in Chinese medicine, or in I guess in Eastern philosophy, the Buddha has taught that we always look at the seed. If we have the wisdom to pick up a seed and know what seed it was, we ought to know what the fruit was. We ought to know if there's a watermelon seed, just looking at the seed, we ought to know what watermelon looks like in the end. We can't see whether it's a 20 kilo watermelon or petite 5 kilo one, but we definitely can say it is a watermelon because a watermelon has its characteristics that is, what's the word? Sorry, it's a very unique characteristics that is, you cannot, undeniable fact. Yes, thank you. So that's why, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm reading it a little.
Okay.
Okay, so Nick said, what do you think about using all the parts of the animal respectfully, i.e. using the bones instead of only using the prime cuts? I'm not advocating the use of endangered animals or any other animal, here, give me a second, maybe click see more, in any way. So he's just thinking about, like, what about, like, using the bones rather than using the prime cuts?
Okay, well, maybe anyone like to share first?
Well, they use everything. Everything gets used. Yeah, and B, that's not vegetarian.
I'll add on to what Sifu said there. What we need to be mindful of is, I feel like it's I'm being extremely hypocritical because I still eat meat, but sometimes. But the main issue in the understanding of Tao is we've got to realize that the karma still is existent in the meat, regardless of what part of the animal we're consuming. So, the person who kills the animal obtains a percentage of karma. Then the person who processes the meat gets another percentage of karma, and cuts the meat, another percentage of karma. Then the person who cooks the meat and prepares it, another percentage of karma. And then it trickles all the way down. Even if you get the bones and you take them home, you make a bone broth or whatever you do, there's still karma involved in it. So there's still some negativity that you're going to have to put into your so-called karma bank account that a creditor can come back and obtain at any time. So this is what we need to be aware and mindful of, is karma all the time, and that's why we should be reflecting on ourselves about our actions and what we're doing. So, but it's very easy to, because we don't process the meat ourselves, and we don't see whatever happens. The first time I ever saw what happens inside an abattoir was I watched a documentary, and everyone can watch this documentary if you are interested. On YouTube, you can go, and it's called Earthlings, and it's a documentary about the meat industry. It's a vegan documentary. It's actually it's a documentary Ellen DeGeneres watched and made her turn vegan, and that was the first time I ever saw what it looked like for a cow to be slaughtered, and I didn't realize how they killed cows. And what happens is they just, essentially, the cow comes in and they have a big gun with a high pressured gun, and it fires a big metal rod into the cow's head, into the front of into the brain. And only then did I 100% realize what actually happens. And because you don't see that, you don't walk into Woolies and you just see the meat cut there. You don't think of all the processes that happened before. It's almost a bit like, well, I didn't do it, so...
Kids think that meat comes from a supermarket. They've got no idea it comes from a cow.
No, and even people don't realise that, like, you can even watch those shows on TV, like the I-Kuan men, and see them, they go hunting, and these people hunt because that's their tradition, those sorts of things. But they use every part of the animal. But even from, you see them like having to cut off the skin and all these sorts of things. They use everything, but it's just very labor intensive. But it's really eye opening. It's not particularly nice to watch. But yeah, that's certainly something we need to be mindful of. I'll just check.
Yeah, very. So thank you. Thanks for sharing that. It's very. I guess to add on that, for Nicholas' question, if we respectfully use the animal product to the fullest extent, it is still, I guess, I'll say it in my own opinion, my own version of understanding. Doesn't mean anything outside of my own understanding. So even if I was the most respectful towards that animal, and I still use that animal for my purposes, it is just like I still get a cut. The wound is still there. So, and this is just it's just whether your compassion will allow like a selfless sacrifice. Like if I was the animal myself, who I knew that person needed my animal flesh to help them, and if I know that person, maybe if I was the animal, I maybe will, like, in goodwill, sacrifice my life for that person. Then there should not be as a large karmic burden involved, because it was my willingness. I was the animal and I offered, but there's still a karmic involvement. Not to say there's a huge, but there will be a less one, because the animal. I mean, if I was the animal, I did not die from the hatred. I did not die from the suffering, or maybe some pain, but not the suffering of why me. That is the biggest climate change factor in the world. This moaning, the bemoaning state. Like when we have, is the word contempt. Contempt. That's when you're very angry because of unfair treated results, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the forces of contempt is very, very powerful. Even Buddha cannot reverse a fixed karma event if the forces of contempt have caused. That's why you see sometimes the collective karma, like maybe some travel accidents, like horrific incidents involving many unrelated people. So this is why contempt from killing is such a big issue. So if we are very respectful for that animal, but the animal doesn't get it, still has the contempt, then it does no one any good. So it is only when the animal on their free will happily walking up to the, I guess, slaughtering platform or whatever it's called, then I would say, but at the end, is it necessary to go to that extent? So I think that's my sort of
with that as well. Tell Bart's story. Tell you that story.
My dad. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thanks.
That's a really good story. If you're happy to share that story.
Oh, of course. He's happy to share. He's just probably not going to walk up now and lift up his shirt, but I can tell you he's got a cut from about here to the belly. So my dad, because he grew up like in like coastal towns, fishing is commonplace. Kids, as soon as they're able to swim, they are into the ocean and doing whatever they do with nets and fish lines. So my dad does become a fishing hobbyist at a very young age. So over his young teenage years, probably has caught dozens and dozens of fish without even knowing that it's harmful to his health. So it got to a time where we were like just moving from Hong Kong, and then he was one day feeling very, very like all the duodenum. That's the component I think that was wrong. Duodenum was playing up. There's so much like stress in that part, that organ. So rushed to the hospital, and the doctor said they have to do a surgery to remove a section of it. So it was so quick, we didn't even have understanding of what duodenum was, and there was no Google back then, and we didn't know what was caused the issue. But when he finished the operation and the anesthetics finished, when he woke up, he looked at his stomach. That's when he understood. When they do the fish, like preparing the fish, they always slice it. All the cut was at the belly. Was always at the belly, up to the belly, not past the fins, not past it. Just slice it, not from the head on. It's just always slicing at the belly, always slicing at the belly. That was the moment he realized how many bellies he has sliced, and today he was the one being sliced. So I think, like, obviously with great appreciation to the medical team, like, he is able to recover, but more importantly, that was a reminder for him as well. And from that time onwards, he haven't really been fishing anymore. Like
that's compassion.
So
that's Kenny's dad.
But the thing, I guess, for him to go through that cut in order to realize that the pain that he has caused on other life forms, I think it already amounted to quite a bit of a very risky thin line that it could have been too late. He could have not made it. So like any time that he get to the hospital a bit later, doctors cannot guarantee what was the outcome of the operation as well. So I think the thing was, like, not to say like it's very like superstitious or any like magical thing happened in the operation, but it's all there is to let us remind why are these coincidences so relatable, or why are these things so coincidental, so it's so hard to repeat on a random manner. So there must be a correlation, and the correlation is very visually vivid. So
sorry, I'm just reading Nicholas' comment. Okay. So Nicholas just written, I love your comments, thank you. I'm being devil's advocate here. I find it interesting that we can blindly consume products that other people process and accumulate less karma than those who may process meat in a highly loving and respected way. I think we just need to make some clarity there. Probably, I think Nicolette maybe I didn't explain myself correctly. So that if we prepare meat in a loving way, and we still prepare meat, it's still the same. There's no like there's still, like, you can still be compassionate, but at the end of the day, slicing the beef and cooking the beef, regardless if you think about the animal or don't think about the animal, it's still the intention in the first, like the subconscious intention. Yeah. So this is what we have to be mindful of.
Yeah. And the thing is, well, I guess I think I may need to use better English. No.
I think we just maybe. I think I didn't explain it.
It's okay. Well, I guess I'm not very good at doing animals. I'm really terrible.
We can make sounds.
Okay. So I think if I allow me to use this picture to illustrate.
Happy for.
Well, my understanding is no matter how much respect we can give to an animal, or how much ritual we do to an animal, it can never equate the gift of life. The life is so precious that no ceremonial ritual or respect or the level of
Sacrifice.
the level of love that the person can give to an animal, if you were to measure it in a volumetric way, can never surpass the gift of life of an animal, in life itself.
Yeah.
So that's why you are still, I guess, accumulating, a lesser degree of karma if the animal also understands you're doing it, and if the animal still understands the reason you're doing it and complies to it.
Complies to it. Cow, sign here.
That's what I mean. Obviously, Nicola, I'm just using like a day in day out situation. I'm maybe not too familiar with certain I guess cultures where there are ceremonies, or they are I guess maybe even in is it halal based ritual? There are certain cultures obviously that uses certain rituals in processing the meat or dealing with animal products and things like that. So I think the quickest explanation I can give is about my understanding is it's the time of living and the time after living. So how much things we have done to pray to offer the animal, if you treat the animal really, really well, materially, but still ended its life, so it can never equate to giving it life. We can never give a life back to an animal. We can never resuscitate a dead animal. So that ritual or that processing respect only makes the person think they are lesser impacted, whereas the animal is the one who is going through that reality of being dead. So I think that's where I'm trying to say is yes, there may be an animal that is understanding of this situation, that their life is needed and they rise up to the cause and sacrifice themselves. Yes, there may be a lesser a karmic involvement in that, but still it will never be as great. I mean, it will never redeem the fact that a life was lost through that way. So I'm thinking, my English is still not very good.
Stop saying that, it's fine.
I just feel
it's pretty cut and dry, Kenny.
Yeah, it is pretty cut and dry. Yeah, Kenny's just trying to, there's like a nice way of explaining it, but you can't really explain it. But in saying this as well, I'm just going to put the comment in at this time as well, of we know that at the present time, there's lots of, I was talking about this the other day, about the fake meat that's come onto the market at the moment. And and for example, I think, as I said, you can get a Hungry Jack's and you can get the Rebel Whopper burger, which I tried. It tastes terrible. So I can try this. But the fact is that we shouldn't have to have a meat supplement. We should be able to overcome that, and
it's okay to discuss. It's an open discussion.
Hey?
What do you mean?
Carry on.
You call me crazy?
No.
Beat you up.
Carry on. No.
Why are you crazy? It's just people that want vegetarian food to look like meat. That's insanity.
And funny enough, a lot of the vegetarian food that looks like meat sometimes can have meat in it. Isn't that true, bro?
Possible.
Yeah, possible. In a certain country that I will not name. Anyway, and this is the thing that we need to be. Gotta stop saying mindful. Waiting for someone to be like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, a good point on that as well. Obviously, so many interesting questions, so many things to discuss. But I think I also really want to it's really want to raise that awareness to a higher level.
Oh, sorry, bro. Go.
No, it's good. That is good. So the meat that was plant-based to look like meat, I think, was working in a like a graph that looks like that. Like that could be the ultimate meat consumption graph. So we find replacement and supplements, and then we get turned off by those products and realize, oh, meat is not for us anyway, and then we can achieve a lower consumption overall. So I guess for people to
So you're the author of that crazy stuff.
No. I'm just hypothesizing that why it doesn't taste so good, or well, it can never be good because the taste, you're adding so many non-natural chemical or the taste ingredient to make it taste like something that never existed in nature. Like
Pickles.
Hi, hello, Vivian. Come and join our class. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, like the meat. If people like the taste of meat because of its flavor or thing, or the desires to keep eating it, even if it's a plant-based meat, it still triggers the mind about the emotions of eating meat, or the aftertaste of meat, or all these, or the biting texture, all these things. Yeah, so these are all, I guess, unnecessary to a benevolent person that doesn't need to have happiness from eating.
So Barry just asked, what about scavenged meat? So animals that are already dead in the wild.
Oh, thanks, Barry. Thanks, Walter. So just sharing my thoughts. Oh, well, your thoughts first. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No, you go first, bro. I need to think about it.
No,
Yum.
Oh, shush, stupid.
Okay. But funny thing. Okay. I was watching the short YouTube clip from Trevor Noah. They were saying California legalized it. If you pick up a roadkill, you are legally entitled to take it home and do whatever you like to it, including eating it. So
when did they make it illegal?
I'm not too sure, but it was legalized a couple of weeks ago. I think that's when I watched that clip. But anyway, I'm thinking let me put it this way. Yeah, the scavenged meat, or an animal that has died in its own way, or anything that we are not involved with that dying, even if they are passed away, I think out of the respect to its living time, we would be better. I mean, I'll use my understanding and my opinion first. So I'm not saying it's the
I don't know what you said.
Yeah. So I would treat that carcass. Is that a better word?
Yeah.
I would treat that carcass just as it was living. So I would treat that carcass as if it was living. But if it's not living, at least I would bury that carcass, and just to let that carcass be in a more dignified way of decomposing, rather than just being taken bit part and apart. So because in say like in the spiritual reality is like, we know we have a spirit, right? So the spirit is just like the water, right? Just like the water. So when it is inside the body, why we cut our finger and we feel the pain, because it's not only the nerves sending that signal, but it is our spirit also seeing that pain, and we echoing that pain. So that's why I'm trying to add so many things into it. So there is an experiment that I'll dig it up. I think we shared before. A death sentence prisoner was strapped on a chair and blindfolded, and the penalty was to cut his throat, but not really cutting it, just using a sharp thing just to like imitate a slicing motion on the wrist. but then playing the sound of dripping water. But that person died from the heart not pumping because he thought he is losing blood. He is draining out all the blood, so his heart stopped pumping. I'll dig that research up, but I've come across that before. So just to say, the spirit feels the pain, feels everything that happens to us. Even a passed away carcass may still have a feeling component as well. Obviously, I don't know how long that carcass has been lying there, but up to a certain point in time, when a person still passed away, when they stopped breathing, they still have feelings for a certain period of time. When you talk to them, like they could even cry if it was their loved ones talking to them just after they stopped breathing. So if it was an animal that is passed away, like I obviously don't know how long they've passed away, but just from understanding that, they may still have a feeling. Every treatment we do to that carcass may still inflict a feeling, whether it's a painful cut or things like that. So, and on that note, we were saying that, well, what was the purpose of consuming it? If it was for nutrition, maybe we have alternative nutritional sources. If it was for like a ceremonial purpose to consume that carcass, maybe there are more meanings behind that ritual we need to discuss. So I think that was, I hope, it's not trying to complicate the discussion for Barry, but not trying to pick a side and pick a fight at all. Not on like, labeling.
Being a very pure Buddhist sort of person, it's not a surprise that you're going to take that stance.
Okay.
We expect nothing else.
I'm just gonna weigh in on my dark alteration. Weigh. So say we come across the carcass in the woods, and or wherever we are on the side of the road, it could have died naturally. Anyway, it's very funny to do. Anyway, I'll hit you with my hat.
No violence.
No violence. It's fine. It's just a hat. Anyway, I digress. So let's say, for example, it's been either killed, or it's been hit by a car, or it's died naturally. So this is as Kenny said, from a compassion point of view, and this is why whenever we have an outward-looking view on life, which should always have the Buddhas always have an outward view of compassion. Whenever with everything that they do, is always outward view of compassion. So we should never be selfish enough to look upon that carcass and see our own gain. And see, can I get that gain for the skin of the animal? Can I do it for nutritional purposes? Can I, put it as taxidermy in my house so people will think, oh, look what I caught. No, we can't do any of those things because that is inherently selfish and not as Tao would want us, or not Tao. It's not our Buddha in anyone's Buddha nature. So, as Kenny said, the best option for us is to allow that to be buried, because as we know in Tao, everything works in cycles, and everything's from birth through to death. So that carcass will eventually decompose and go back into the earth, and then nurture the earth or become feed the earth, so that a plant may grow or something. So everything will happen in a cycle, and that's the natural way of nature, and that is Wu Wei, and that's how it should be. We should just let it be.
In reality, the wild pigs would come and gobble it up,
and that may be. That may be, but that's another discussion of karma in the animal realm of reincarnation, and whether or not how the animals escape one of the 6 realms of reincarnation, which is actually what one of my kids in my class asked, not last week, the week before. So yeah, interesting topic. So anyway, that's just my
Well, great sharing. Thank you.
Yeah,
So hopefully,
good questions this week, guys.
Very
I like it
good.
when you guys ask questions.
yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So, sorry for the late start, but we'll wrap it up here as well. If there's more questions, we'll try and keep the discussion going another time. Then keep going online or in person. So, thank you so much for watching, and then we'll see if we can summary provide a summary or something that we discussed so that we can see clearly how we progressed week after week, class after class. Thank you. Thank you very much. See you soon. Thank you. Thank you.